This is the day that Yah have made. I shall rejoice and be glad in it. This is the Hebrew Perspective, and I'm your host, Greg Cooper. Um, had a wonderful Shabbat on last night. Got a wonderful word when I went to service, and I even got to visit the sick yesterday. And to this morning, Sunday morning, I got up, did a little work around the yard, a little work around the house, and I want to, get a few thoughts in. Also, yesterday I got to practice on this little keyboard. My daughter is teaching me how to play "How Great Is Our God," or I'm going to say "How Great Is Our Yah." Today we're going to do something a little different. We're just going to do about 8 verses out of the book of James, or Yaakov. And I'm just going to point out something that we kind of ignore when we read the book of James. These are very familiar verses that is in the scriptures, and I'm going to be reading verses 1 through 8, and some of the terms are going to be New Hebrew. It says, Yaakov, for you who don't know, that's James, a servant of Yahuwah Adonai Yeshua Messiah, to the 12 tribes that are scattered abroad. Now, these verses from 2 to 8 are very common. My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations, knowing that the trying of your belief worketh patience. But let patience have its perfect work, that you may be perfect, entirely wanting nothing. If any man lack of wisdom, let him ask of Yah, who giveth to all men liberally, and upbraideth not, and it shall be given unto him. But if any man ask and believing, not wavering, for he that waver is like the wave of the sea, and is driven to the wind, tossed. For him not let any man that he shall receive anything of Jehovah. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Now, these verses are very, very, very familiar passages of scriptures. Those of you who have been to anybody's kind of church for, any period of time, have pretty much heard these verses. And you've probably heard messages preached from verses 2 through 8. Now, I'm going to point out verse number 1. Verse number 1 of the book of James, or Yaakov. If I was to have a top 50 of scriptures that verses in the Bible that people would ignore, this will probably come in at number 1. Verse number 1 says, a servant of Adonai Yeshua to the 12 tribes that are scattered abroad. Now, James, this is an epistle of James, and he is addressing the 12 tribes of Israel. In fact, he is sending them words of encouragement. I don't understand how, who the letter is written to is just as important as the words that are in the letter. So a lot of times next time that you read the book of James, please just do not ignore who the letters is written to. This is one of the things that we do kind of like in the church we certain verses that we kind of blow right through, that every word in the scripture is very, very important. Now, I want to point out something also. I'm going to read this from, this is called the Complete Jewish Bible. And this is in the, with the part they call the Brit Hadashah, which is considered the New Testament in Hebrew. And you see the name, the correct pronunciation of the name is Yaakov, and you see they got James under here. This verse 1, I want to says, from Yaakov, a slave of God and of the Lord, of Yeshua the Messiah, to the 12 tribes in the diaspora, Shalom. Now, those of us who are somewhat conscious, we understand what a diaspora is. A diaspora, and you know, we refer to as those who were forcefully removed from their land. That is, to give you an example, the transatlantic slave trade and the trans-Saharan trade slave was what we call part of the African diaspora. They were forcefully removed from their land. Now here, James is sending words of encouragement, talking about the trying of your faith, work with patience. I mean, these people or our ancestors were forcefully removed from their land, and that was the trying of their faith. And he was saying, let patience have its perfect work. You know, if any man lacketh wisdom, I want you to understand that these words are saying, these words of encouragement are going to someone, to people who were forcefully removed from their land, that is going through oppression. And so he's sending words of encouragement to them. Now, the way that the scriptures is being used in the church, it does apply. I'm not going to sit up there and say, well, it's not, you know, these words of encouragement do not apply, you know, like in the church word, like, you know, like it applies today. Let patience have its perfect work, whether you're in there. But what I want to point out is basically who these verses, who these verses were originally intended for, and they were intended for the 12 tribes of Israel who were part of the diaspora and those who were scattered abroad. So please, as we read these verses, I'm going to put a lot more emphasis on scattered, just like when we was dealing with in the book of Acts chapter 29, which I will be continuing on this upcoming week, how Paul went to Spain and Britain to speak of those who were part of the diaspora, who to Spain and Rome. And so I'm putting emphasis on these words, this word scattered, because we are going somewhere with this word scattered. This is a very ignored word in the scriptures. Thank you for tuning in, and this is Greg Cooper, and you are tuned in to the Hebrew Perspective. Also, these videos will be available on YouTube, and you can just go to my name, Greg Cooper, and you can recap, like, and share these videos. And I pray that these videos be a blessing to you in the name of our Messiah, Yeshua HaMashiach, and Shalom.